We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Hamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
All members are present.
We will now be led in prayer by Pastor Jeffrey Bell, who's the pastor of Holiness Church of Christ Deliverance Center. Immediately following our prayer, we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Neal. Pastor Bell.
Thank you, Margot. I'd like to thank the council for the invite, and truly an honor and a privilege to be with you tonight. And just want to say from our congregants, and we want to thank you all for the wonderful work you've done to make our city great. And I just want to tell you that we may not get a chance to say that to all of you at once. And I wanted to say that personally from us. And so if you would, let's bow our heads in prayer. Father, we do thank you for this day. We thank you for another opportunity to be in the midst of this great group of ministers, our civil ministers. And we asked that tonight you would give them wisdom, that you would give them understanding, how to go out about the things of our great city. We pray for peace. We pray for leadership. We pray for even this pandemic. We pray for healing of our city as well as our country. We pray now, Father, that you would give them the wisdom, the honor, and the ability to carry out these things that are necessary to make our city a better place, not just for me and not just for those that are in the room today, but to all of our citizens of our great city of Akron. We thank you for them. We thank you for their sacrifices of their families and things that they go through to make necessary changes, necessary things that they do to kind of just the things that they do to sacrifice their time and efforts to make sure things are better for us. And we do thank you for them. We ask that this meeting be great, and we ask that as this meeting is resolved, that there'll be some great things that we will see coming forward in our city in the future. We thank you for all that you do for us, and we give you the praise, and we give you the honor and all the glory. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United
States
of
America,
America,
and to the
republic
for
which it stands,
one
nation,
nation,
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Pastor Bell. At this time, the minutes have been provided to all council members. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, can we get a motion to approve? Councilman Freeman?
Motion to approve.
Can we get a second by Councilwoman Connor?
A second.
Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Thank you so much. Before you, you do have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you. Motion to approve.
Can we get a second by Councilman McKittrick?
Second.
Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye. Aye.
The consent agenda passes 13-0.
We'll now move into our old business, budget and finance. Councilman Freeman.
Committee request continue to take time.
Time will be granted. Planning and economic development, Councilman Fusco.
Time on the agenda.
Time will be granted. Public service, Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee is asking for this to go on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda. Public safety,
Thank you, Madam President. We did meet today and the committee's report is favorable and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
thank you. Are there any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you, Madam President. This is basically to install new door security systems over at the Akron Municipal Court, and we're asking for passage. Thanks.
Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Hamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Homovian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0.
We will now move into our new legislation.
Item number 1, offered by Mayor Horrigan, President Somerville, Fusco, Swirsky, Samples, Neal, and Amobian. Resolution acknowledging the life and judicial and public service legacy of Judge James R. Williams, expressing condolences and sympathy to the family, friends, and colleagues of Judge Williams on his recent passing and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Yes, the committee met today and the report is favorable and we are asking for suspension of the rules on this resolution.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This is a resolution honoring the life of Judge James Williams. And at this time, I would like to defer to either the sponsors or any other council members for any comments they may have in regards to Judge Williams' life.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, Judge Williams, as it was stated earlier, was a pillar in this community and has left a legacy for us all to remember. He was the first in many regards in being the first African-American judge in the Court of Common Pleas. And I do believe there has not been one since him on the Sumner County Court of Common Pleas. He has just left a wealth of good deeds when leaving this place. And I will miss him not only as being a pillar, but being a good friend to me and my children. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Amobian.
Yes, as I said earlier today, that Judge Williams, the first and I believe only African-American to win countywide a judicial seat, just was a wonderful friend and mentor to most of those of us who are in public service. And it's just, he's always been kind and thoughtful and given advice, and has served on every major social service committee and probably business committee in the city of Akron and Summit County. So he left a lot for us to appreciate and remember him by, and his shoes will certainly be hard to fill, but just a wonderful person with a wonderful family, and just was a remarkable leader in this community. And we extend our condolences to his family.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Amobian. Councilman Neal.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to add that, we've used this African proverb before. There's two that I want to use. The first is that's shared in our community, and that is when an elder dies, a library burns. And that is can never be more true than with Judge Williams. But another one that we use is we say that a wise man is one who plants trees whose shade he does not plan to enjoy. Thankfully, in Judge Williams' case, not only did he plant a tree whose shade he did get to enjoy, but many generations after, and our city enjoys, because he led through his fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, an organization that has blessed our community through Alpha Phi Alpha homes. And I say that because I think one way we as a council can honor Judge Williams is coming to understand some of the civic work that he did. And there's a documentary that is out called An Answer from Akron that I think would be good for us as council to watch and have our own Sam DeSazier and Thomas Tatum come in to share about the collective work that was led by Judge Williams. And then I would like to share this. I did see where the Williams family asked that in lieu of flowers or to honor Judge Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but we were asked to plant a tree. And I think as with Judge Williams being the first African-American to serve in Ward 4, I reached out to Sister Renee Green, and at the appropriate time, we're going to plant a tree in Ward 4 in honor of Judge Williams. But I think it would be a good gesture for us as a council at an appropriate time to plant a tree somewhere in the city in his honor as well, so that years from now, people will be able to enjoy the shades of those trees that are planted in his honor.
Thank you so much, Councilman Neal, for sharing. Well said. Are there any additional comments at this time? Seeing and hearing none, the committee's report.
Margot, can I say something real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Mayor Horgan?
Yeah, obviously words don't do his career enough justice. This is probably not his first resolution in honoring him. And Judge was unafraid, and somebody has to be first. And Jim was first in a lot of things. And I think his legacy is left, obviously, by his wonderful family and what he's left behind too. And so we all get to enjoy whatever tree in the shade that gets planted. And I would suggest they be oaks, because oaks grow tall and they're strong. So we can pick the tree. It's just a saying, but obviously those are a testament to his strength and his community service around the city. So we're all indebted across the city for him. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Madam Chair, we would like to request that this be the mayor and council as a whole.
Very good. So we do have a motion on the floor for mayor and council as a whole. Can we get a second by Councilwoman Baylor?
Second.
Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Samples.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0, mayor and council as a whole. Item number 2, offered by Mayor Horgan. Resolution expressing gratitude of the City of Akron for the diligent and successful efforts of the bipartisan teams of election officials and poll workers to ensure a safe, secure, accessible, and an accurate 2020 general election in which every registered voter was given the opportunity to contribute to our democracy, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman?
Yes, the committee's report was favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
I think if the mayor is still with us, he might want to make a comment or two on this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's time to give a nod. I mean, with all the run up to, what election fears were out there put out by some, I think we proved in Summit County and in Ohio, even though some may like and some may not like the results, that's fine. It was never the results that we were all concerned about. It was the process. And quite frankly, it came off, I think, without a hitch in Akron and Summit County. There's always normal things that go, but there's a lot of people that put a lot of time and a lot of effort into making sure that people had access to the polls, and it was safe and it was fair and it was accurate. And I think we should tip our hat to them, all the men and women who were able to pull that off. There's a time-honored process that has been going on for, a millennia into making sure these elections are fair. So I think we should, like I said, it's just a small public recognition that they did an excellent job and to thank them for their service.
Thank you so much, Mayor Horrigan. Councilman Fusco?
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. If you witnessed and saw what was going on basically for 30 days, it was seamless how our local Board of Elections handled the volumes of people that were just going down there waiting patiently to go exercise their vote. Thank you for bringing this in, Mayor. And also, if you know people who work there, they would tell you how many hours they were working day after day after day. So again, it was a great effort, and it was good to see a high turnout. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fusco. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0. Item number 3, offered by Freeman, ordinance providing for the temporary appropriation for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Akron for the period of January 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman?
Yes, the committee's requested this item be placed on the consent agenda, and I would just encourage all my council brothers and sisters, if you have any questions about these appropriations, to reach out either to Ms. Goodrich or Ms. Donnell. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Freeman. This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 4, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct an oversized accessory structure carriage house with living space at 2250 Lancaster Road and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Refer and advertise for public hearing.
This item will be referred.
Item number 5, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of advertising for bids with United Systems and Software Incorporated for the purchase of encoder receiver transmitters for winter meter repairs by the Bureau of Water Supply and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman?
I'll ask for clarification for Ms. Viviano, but I believe today that the committee requested this item be placed on the consent agenda.
That's correct.
Okay, we ask that this be placed on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 6, offered by Mayor Horrigan, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to accept and expend funding from the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company Better Future Grant and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Amobian?
The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
As stated earlier today by Mr. Rice, this program has resulted in 100+ active and alumni members who last participated and volunteered in more than 50 projects and donate countless service hours to this city. And we are asking for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Amobian. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Aye.
Fusco, Hamer,
Aye.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Momobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 7, we have a substitute offered as an amendment that's offered by Mayor Horrigan, President Somerville, Vice President Fusco, and Samples. Ordinance limiting the number of attendees at private gatherings and requiring facial coverings be worn during private gatherings to limit the spread of COVID-19, establishing means of enforcement and imposing a penalty for violation thereof, and declaring an emergency. At the request of President Somerville, I'm going to read the additional whereas that is being considered for this substitute. Whereas the City of Akron emphasizes that an effective federal, state, and regional approach is needed and urges the County of Summit and all municipalities within the County of Summit to consider enacting similar regulations to limit the spread of COVID-19 within and between our communities.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Amobian?
As this is a substitute, I'd like to poll the committee for a favorable report and suspension of the rules.
Any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none. Councilwoman Mobian, you can go ahead and poll your committee.
Okay. Councilman Freeman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baylor,
Aye.
Councilman Neal,
Abstain.
Councilman Lombardo,
Aye.
the ordinance passes 4-1 with suspension of the rules. Just to state the obvious, we regret that we are at this point in our society, but we are here. We are surrounded by a terrible infectious disease that, as we all know, is increasing and killing more people, and more people becoming infected. With this particular ordinance, we are probably doing something that we all regret doing, but is much needed. We are limiting the number of individuals who will attend private gatherings. And it's important to note that we're talking about in your residential home, because as we heard this afternoon, that the governor's order covers businesses, restaurants, and other entities. We are focusing on the residential area at this point, because by the experts that we heard from this afternoon, that is where we are finding that the surge more than likely is coming from. As a result of that, we are proposing through this ordinance that no more than 6 individuals will be allowed to come into a person's home. If your family is comprised of 10, 12, or whatever people that live together, we're asking that you have no more than 6 individuals who come from outside of your family unit into your home. So with that, we're hoping that we can contain the spread and not overwhelm our hospitals. I think we all look at the news every night and we see where the hospitals, emergency rooms, our healthcare providers are just overworked and just taxed to no end. And we are not quite at that point in Akron, but as we heard from the leaders of the hospitals, we're getting close to that. So we're trying to put in place an ordinance. This is for 30 days. It will either expire in 30 days or we'll reevaluate it in 30 days to see if we need it to continue. But it's something that we're being told that we need to do. And again, we regret that we're here, but we want to do whatever we can to keep the citizens of Akron safe. With that, I will turn over to Donna. I see your face. I'm assuming that you want to speak, or the mayor.
If we can, Mayor Horgan, can you start us off?
Sure, and just to follow up just from this afternoon, I appreciate all of the conversation about, the necessarily whether it was the authority. All of our decisions, especially around COVID and the spread of, have always been in strong consultation with either ODH, Summit County Public Health, and which I think, our healthcare systems, because they are all planning together. And one of the, I think, key aspects and the strengths of this community is that they have been planning together as a regional hospital association to be able to handle, whether it's a pandemic or whether it's any sort of outbreak, in sharing resources. And really, they should be commended in being as flexible as possible, because really, quite frankly, they're competitors at some point, but really they have pulled resources and pulled everything to be able to handle this. And so when they give us advice and they say, listen, we see where this trend line is going and is going up, and these are the results of. So if we get to a certain point, we're going to start to have to figure out whether we're going to have to start rationing care, and people are going to get treatment or they're not going to get treatment. That's never a place that some states are right now, and some cities are, where they're starting to decide whether who gets care or not. That's not the type of city that we want to be in, or a country that we want to be in. So in taking some of that advice and saying, listen, give us this day, and you all know that phrase, but give us the next 30 days to try to get a handle on this. And it's to prevent, so we don't have to go to another shutdown. When we did the shutdown, or the governor did, it really did flatten the curve a lot, and it stepped on it. But now we've all gotten a little bit complacent. We've probably gotten weary and we've gotten tired. But as we go into the holiday season, we go into Thanksgiving and eventually into Christmas, we have a chance to maybe flatten that curve again. And this is one of the ways to do that. So I appreciate, the support on this. And like I said, I know for some, it's a very difficult decision. It's not something at the beginning of anybody's term that they would think, you know what, this is what we have to do. But you have to be flexible enough to be able to say, if we're going to start saving people and not overwhelm those hospitals or ration care, then I'm going to follow the advice of the data scientists, the public health officials, and the doctors, because they're smart for a reason, and I don't want to overwhelm those hospitals. I'll kind of turn it over to either Dr. Hart or Donna, but I think it's a proactive approach over the next 30 days to be able to not overwhelm those hospitals and save lives.
Thank you so much. Dr. Hart is on with us, who is the CEO of Akron General Cleveland Clinic.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the handoff. I'd like to give council just a quick overview of what we're seeing. I don't think Cliff could make it here tonight, but I can't speak for him, but we are in touch on it, as Dan said, on a daily basis, and we have a very similar story to tell. At Akron General, we are routinely now over 95% capacity for adult care. We've actually canceled some elective surgeries this week throughout the Cleveland Clinic health system so that we could maintain bed capacity for COVID patients, which are rising quickly. This morning at Akron General, we started with 61 patients, which is almost 20% of our entire hospital with COVID, who were COVID positive, including 16 in the ICU. And just to give you some context for council, that's a month ago, we had less than 20. That's how quickly this is coming upon us. And the doubling rate of cases throughout the state of Ohio is the number of cases is doubling about every 2 to 2.5 weeks. At Akron General, 4 days ago, we opened our second COVID unit. That is already almost full. We expect to open a third one later this week. We're also opening another critical care unit just for COVID patients. We have equipment, we have PPE, we're hitting new records throughout the Cleveland Clinic health system in terms of the number of tests that we're doing for the community. Where we're challenged, and increasingly challenged, as all our hospitals are in Northeast Ohio, is staffing. We don't have the nurses, docs, and therapists to staff all the beds that we're afraid to COVID. If I should say, we don't have the nurses, therapists, and doctors to staff enough beds for for the worst case scenarios. Right now, we have about 50 of our employees who are out sick. As I said, we've already canceled some surgeries for this week. And we can do all we can, but we cannot do everything. As I said, we're seeing similar stories. We have regular calls through all the hospitals, and not just Northeast Ohio, but Northern and Eastern Ohio. And I think what I just ask everyone to understand before I hand this off to Donna, hand it back to you, is to understand that this is the nature of exponential rises that a pandemic is characterized by, which is by the time you realize it's time to act, you're already on the vertical part of the curve and you're running out of time very quickly. In healthcare in our hospitals, we're on a very thin margin at this point. We're about out of time and people are sick and they are dying. What we do today will have an impact starting 5 to 10 days from now. Or another way of saying that is that whatever happens tomorrow has already been decided because of the nature of this particular virus. So, the small family gatherings, as the mayor said, and as others have said, this is where the spread is occurring. And we're on a very thin margin of time in order to continue saving lives and having the capacity in our healthcare system to make it possible. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Donna Scott. I'm the Health Commissioner. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your comments. I would like to echo what Brian has said. We are seeing exponential rise in cases. We do the contact tracing. We interview every COVID positive patient in Summit County. We know where they have been. I have to tell you, overwhelmingly, they're honest with us. I believe, and they're telling us that they have attended gatherings at home. They have had dinner in igloos with family members that they thought were safe. They have now, many of them have expressed regrets for having those parties, not thinking that people would get as sick as they did. The risk we are experiencing, and what I don't think we understand, is individuals think this is just another flu bug, but this is like no other flu. We have increasing hospitalizations. We have increasing death from this disease. But more than that, we have families that are left destroyed, and we have families that are left with debilitating conditions for the rest of their lives. I can only say to you that, we talk to the people. We know how they are behaving. We want to blame the classrooms. We want to blame non-compliant businesses. But really, it's just people being people. They get together, they think all is fine. They haven't seen their relatives, in 5-6 months. They're excited. They think because they're related that they're family and that it's all going to be okay, but it's not. I can tell you, I have heard some tragic stories. Today alone, we had 357 cases come in when I left in odors. The number continues. And I can tell you what we are seeing is Halloween. Every time we have had a holiday, we see a blimp in the cases. This is particularly bad because of the time of year. And we're also facing flu, colds, and other viruses that circulate during this time. And it's difficult. So we are ripe we are setting the stage to overwhelm our hospitals between the regular old flu, colds, coughs, pneumonias, and COVID-19. We have talked at length to the state. We have tried to work through any number of avenues. I honestly can tell you, I don't think people intentionally go out and say, hey, we're going to get together. I don't think they realize how absolutely contagious this virus is. And I don't think they realize that they're going to harm their loved ones. So I think by passing this, we're telling them it's serious. There will be some that don't comply. I can tell you the health district has always taken the approach of education first. We aren't going out and going to get rich off of $250. That is not our intent. We want to educate, we want to get in there, and we want to help people be successful in managing this disease. Probably some of the hardest contact tracing calls to take, and the calls I make for initial investigations, are the people that have regrets. They have regrets that they got together. They have regrets that they celebrated the birthday. What you're sending them is a message that says, don't do it. It's better if you wait. The birthday can wait. The Thanksgiving can wait. There's other ways to do it. Don't get together this year. And that's the message you're sending them. It's for 30 days. I want to have people to my house too. You can't right now. It just isn't the way we can live until we get this virus under control, which would be with a vaccine that is effective and increased testing for everyone. So tonight I'm asking you on behalf of public health to please pass this ordinance.
Thank you so much, Donna Scota, and thank you so much, Dr. Hart. Councilman Fusco, I do see your hand.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Yeah. As we're all aware, the COVID-19 is borderless. Like it or not, we're all in this together. Our neighbors to the north, south, east, west, it's a global pandemic. And that's, it's not just an Akron problem. That's the reason for the substitute, which was read in, so everybody understands that. The one thing, though, I would like to say to my colleagues and to the mayor and to the healthcare workers is well, especially to council and the mayor, no matter how you're going to vote on this, thank you for your political courage, because the thing of it is, to say no and to say yes is a tough call. This is extremely tough legislation, and we're in just such tough times right now. Given the 30-day time frame, it's going to be up to us. We need to watch this very carefully, and I respectfully request, Mr. Brown, that you provide us with the volume of complaints that come in. We need to monitor how many cases, is it going to increase or decrease? We need to really be diligent on that. The tipping point for me was hearing from the doctors, from the hospitals, from the healthcare providers, Donna Skota, all the work she's done, but to hear them say that, they're at such a capacity that they're going to have to decide on who is going to get the treatment and who isn't. That's very unsettling for me. And we know what the data is. We've heard reports, the Black community, the senior citizens, the poorest of the poor. I think we know if something isn't done, what would happen possibly. And that, for me, that was a tipping point. And so I'm in support of this. But let's be very diligent, and this is for 30 days, and let's watch carefully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Fusco. Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam President. I do want to thank Dr. Hart and Donna Skota, Dr. Devaney, who's not with us this evening, and Mayor Horrigan, because this is not easy to do. And of course, there's going to be the backlash, but we are about protecting our residents and protecting this community. It's 30 days, not 30 weeks, not 30 years. And I think we all can give 30 days to try to lessen the effects of what the hospitals are feeling. I can only imagine what these nurses are going through, what these doctors are going through. And I commend you all for having that courage, and anyone who stands out there trying to fight this plague is what it is. This is our intervention. I don't think we can wait for the governor. We just can't at this point. The numbers are scary. We all know someone who has had COVID. Many of us know someone who's died from COVID. And we must follow the data, and we must follow the science. And the science says this is necessary. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Samples. Councilman Malik.
Thank you very much. Earlier today in the committee meeting, I believe Dr. Hart said our world is on fire and we're near the edge. And I think we've seen the seriousness of this. Like the mayor said, we don't want to be a community that's rationing care. And Donna has been working on this for almost the whole year at this point, and she's telling us where this is coming from. She's telling us that it's coming from letting our guard down amongst our family, amongst our close friends. We like to think that the things that happen in our homes don't affect other people. But when we choose to have a gathering for the Browns game or a birthday party, we're putting at risk our neighbor in our cubicle at work, someone who might be at the store with us, a first responder who might need to come to our house. And we can't do that. And I've gotten calls all day long from people who are concerned about personal liberty. I'm concerned about personal liberty. But we can't pretend that our rights allow us to watch this disease tear through our community. I appreciate what the mayor's office, what the administration, what Deputy Mayor Brown has said about this is going to focus on education and awareness. Our officers are not going to be walking in here in a confrontational manner. We don't want to have to put them in a situation that's confrontational. And so, we're going to make sure that this really is about letting people know about the ordinance. And then if non-compliance follows, there's a penalty. But I really would urge everyone to support this. I know it's difficult, and but I really think that it's important at this time.
Thank you so much, Councilman Malik. Councilwoman Amobian.
Yeah, I want to just, because of the seriousness of this, I'd like to have my name added to the legislation, please.
Thank you. Councilman Swirsky.
Yeah, I agree with all of the very important points that the other council people and the health experts and the mayor have presented. And it's a very strong case to me for supporting this. But let me add this. I would just ask each of us, and I recently had a chance to be in a hospital. It was quite an opportunity. And just think about the people there who have helped you in the past, the nurses, the aides, the doctors, the administrative people. They're all in there fighting this pandemic. They're on the front lines of the battle. I think if someone came to us and said, hey, there's a battle over there, you're going to help your fellow citizens, almost all of us would say, yes, I would help. I would help. And that's why I think today we're given an opportunity to help these frontline people, these healthcare workers that help us get better, that have helped our family members, and that each and every day are enduring risks and burdens because of the pandemic, that this strategy, this effort points to a very focused place where a lot of the pandemic is being continued and propagated. So please help us with the frontline healthcare workers. Let's join together as a community to support them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Swirsky. Councilman Freeman.
Yes, I just did want to thank Ms. Skoda, Dr. Hart, and I had indicated today that I'd be casting a vote, a non-affirmative vote. But I think the thing that I would like to say is, because I have real issues with believing that maybe we're encroaching on some issues with the United States Constitution. But what I would say to those folks that even I heard from today that encouraged me not to vote on this is that is the way I'm going. But my word to them would be, okay, exercise good judgment now. It's been suggested that, we only have 6 folks in our home. Exercise good judgment. Maybe you shouldn't have 6 folks in your home. This has visited our home, and it ravaged a teenage daughter for 2 weeks, and this is very, very serious. I cannot, in good conscience, from a constitutional standpoint, back it up. But everything that I've heard, I agree with 100%. We are at a dangerous point, and it's up to each and every one of us to use this right here. Unfortunately, we can't pass legislation that forces people to use good judgment. But I do want to thank all of the folks that have showed up today. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Councilman Freeman. Councilman Neal.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank everyone for bringing in the information. I like Councilman Freeman. I shared this earlier. My concern is on the invasion of people's private homes. And where this goes from here. And I'm going to say this because I said this when we first started dealing with COVID. I don't know how this is going to come out, but my concern is that the next step is that it's going to be mandatory for you to have a vaccination. That's a concern of mine because it's for everyone's public health, in the best interest of everyone's public health. The greatest privilege, we just passed a resolution, and I agree with the mayor on it, on how we protected the right of people to vote here in our city. Great freedom. the freedom of choice. The challenge is with that freedom is when my freedom to choose infringes on yours. And as others have said, no matter how you cut this, it's going to be, if we vote for it, it's definitely an infringement on a person's, how they, in their home. It's the most sacred place we have. I received calls from people and they asked me how I was going to vote. I told them that I was going to abstain, but I do want to share some of the concerns. One is, in this period when people don't have access to their government, that our constituents don't have a chance to engage us, to share their concerns. The other thing is, next week is Thanksgiving. People have already made their plans. They have family members coming in town. And yes, I shared my personal, how my family chose to do it. We chose not to fly. It was my hope to be in Atlanta to see my niece and to see my nephew who I haven't had a chance to see yet. But that was our personal choice. And I think everyone should have it. I would hope that, we do the education that's with this, understanding that if we put it in the paper, not everybody reads the Beacon, not everybody listens to certain radio stations. So be it our water bills, put it in all of our public spaces that we have access to educate people so that people make the proper choices. But again, I want to say I respect the professionals, but I just have a concern on the one place that I should have that should be sacred for me, which is my home.
Thank you so much, Councilman Neal. Councilman Kamer?
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I just want to thank the health professionals for their opinions, their expert advice today, and being able to be here with us to educate us. I basically agree with everybody that has spoken before me. This is a serious matter. I think this is our educational piece right here, us as council members, letting the public and the citizens know to be safe, wear masks, and try to limit the gatherings at your home. The main reason I'll be casting a no vote is I believe the enforcement piece. We have our officers. This has been a challenging year for them also. And I just don't think we need to put them in more harm's way, going to people's houses to educate them. And with that, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Councilman Kamer. Are there any other council members that have any comments at this time that did not have an opportunity to speak? Okay. Councilwoman Connor?
Let me say, as a person who's dealt with many health issues, as far as Thanksgiving goes, Thanksgiving is every day. Every day you wake up is Thanksgiving. Other than that, it's a day on the calendar. Thanksgiving is whatever day you get to be with your family. And for this year, it's going to be a little later. We have 30 days to make a difference in people's lives, to save their grandmother, their aunt and uncle. And the fact that we wouldn't take 30 days for our fellow citizens is just disheartening to me. I would hope all of you would pass this and not only think about that over the 30 days, but be grateful for the 30 days that you will have with your families.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Connor. Are there any other council members that would like an opportunity to speak? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, just want to take an opportunity just to, again, thank our healthcare professionals who joined us, our health commissioner. Also want to just take an opportunity to thank Mayor Horrigan and my fellow council members just for your leadership on this. We are in a state of an emergency, and oftentimes in an emergency, you have to take extreme measures. So I want to thank all of you for your leadership Again, this ordinance is not about the police driving around looking for, cars and looking for parties, really using this as an opportunity for us to educate, for us to stop the spread, and for us to save lives. So at this time, the committee's report is favorable. The rules have been suspended. Roll call.
Baylor,
Aye.
Connor,
Aye.
Freeman,
Okay,
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer,
Nay.
Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Nay.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Stay.
Amobian,
Aye.
Samples,
Aye.
Somerville,
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 9-3 with 1 abstention.
Thank you so much. That concludes our new business. We'll now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. And clerk will read in comments received for this evening.
This comment is from David Mink, Tyler Shepard, Kristen Gindra, Anonymous, and Samantha Brode. Dear Akron City Council, I am a member of the Akron Bicycle Club, which represents over 400 cyclists in the Akron area that regularly utilize roads and trails in and around the Merriman and Cuyahoga valleys. I have spent my professional life aiding businesses located in Akron. I've served on the boards of numerous community organizations. My family, including children and grandchildren, live locally, and we all use the park system regularly. I have recently been made aware of a proposed upcoming sale of a 43-acre parcel of land by the city of Akron on Tice Road in the scenic Merriman Valley. It is my understanding that this sale is slated for November by the city of Akron, and it plans to utilize this land for a housing development for up to 110 homes. As a community member, I am extremely concerned about the negative impacts that this sprawling development will have on the health, safety, and stability of the existing parks and roadways. This tract is adjacent to the Hampton Hills mountain bike area and to roads that are utilized to traverse in and out of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Based on available information, there has been little to no planning by the city of Akron or developers to prepare for the overall impact of this housing project. We believe this property, if joined to the existing Hampton Hills Metro Park, has great potential to expand recreational opportunities like cycling and hiking for all of Akron. It will also protect the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, which is on its doorstep. Because of its environmental importance, the Western Reserve Land Conservancy has tried to purchase this land at the city of Akron's asking price of $361,520 to place it under a permanent conservation easement to protect it forever, or at least until a comprehensive plan for the Merriman Valley is established. I understand the city of Akron has said it will only consider proposals by developers, not parks. I request that you and the City Council of Akron accept the asking price offer of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy in order to protect Akron's critical natural resources, as well as the safety and lives of your existing community. This is a decision that cannot be reversed. Please do not move forward with this unplanned development in Merriman Valley. This is from Ned Delamater. Regarding Tice Road, it's time for Akron to come up with a sustainable development plan. I urge you to look carefully at the conclusions of the 2014 Vibrant Northeast Ohio 2040. It was part of the Partnership for Sustainable Communities initiative. Jason Segedy was an important contributor to this study. It emphasizes the need to conserve undeveloped land which provides unfragmented wildlife habitat, recreational opportunities, prevent soil erosion, etc. It also emphasizes inward growth, the need to reuse abandoned urban spaces with existing infrastructure, which Akron has in abundance as a result of abandoned homes and businesses. We now know that many of the city development decisions which were made in the past were not good ones. Careful planning is the key to sustainable development. This is from Joey Selmans. I am writing to express my strong opposition to the sale of 43 acres between Tice and Hardy Roads to developers. On August 3rd, 2020, the City of Akron issued a call for proposals from developers of upscale single-family homes, setting a discounted purchase price for the land and offering a 15-year residential tax abatement for future residents. This decision is concerning for a number of reasons. One, this property tax abatement takes away the financial support solely needed for Akron schools and for some of Akron's best features, including our comprehensive library system, award-winning Akron Zoo, and services for citizens with disabilities. The process does not include any citizen input. It ignores the fact that Akron and Cuyahoga Falls have committed to a joint master planning process for the Merriman Valley slated to start in January of 2021. The sale should be put on hold until this committee is formed and citizens are included to provide input. Number 3, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park is one of Akron's greatest assets. Crane's Cleveland Business reported that visitors spent $36.8 million in communities surrounding the park. The Tice property has the potential to enhance the recreation and tourism-based backbone of the Merriman Valley by increasing the green space footprint. Number 4, Sherilyn Burns, the president of the Greater Akron Audubon Society, has noted the potential for long-term environmental damage to the Cuyahoga Valley and Cuyahoga River if this wooded land is cleared and developed. It has been suggested by the Akron City Council and the Office of Planning and Development that developing this land will offer future payoffs and lure people in from the suburbs. Why not capitalize on what lures the most suburbanites into our area already? The amazing array of natural resources and the prestige of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. As a local resident, I am urging you to think creatively, sustainably, and thoughtfully about how this land should be used. Once it is mowed down and houses are built, we will never have the opportunity to go back. Please reject the proposal submitted by housing developers for the Tice Road acreage and accept the offer of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy for its preservation and conservation. Thank you. This is from Susan Gallagher. I oppose the sale of the property between Tice Road and Hardy Road to private developers. I do support the sale of this land to the Western Reserve Land Conservancy and the development of a master plan between Akron and Cuyahoga Falls for the Merriman Valley. This is from Chance Driscoll. I am writing to you in hopes of preserving the land between Tice and Hardy Road. I believe that Akron has one of the best hiking scenes in all of America. We are blessed to have such an amazing natural landscape in this city, and I do not think that should go to waste on another housing development. Housing developments are a dime a dozen, but beautiful parks and nature are rare and frankly getting rarer to come by these days. With the old Valley View Golf Course being transformed into a park as I type this, linking the San Juan Metro Park to the Cascade Valley Metro Park, North Akron will have an unbelievably strong portfolio of great hikes. If this piece of land could reasonably add to that amazing hiking scene, then it only seems right that we try to add to that. Thank you for your time. This is from Mike Conrad. I was not aware of the potential of green space for development until I was in the Valley last weekend. I am thankful for the individuals who are helping to inform the community. The Valley is one of the most beautiful areas in Akron. I'm sure it would make for a lovely development, but not at the cost of green space. I would never purchase a home there because of the odor that comes from the processing plant that Timber Tops and Hampton Woods is all too familiar with. They would also get the noise from Blossom. You have the Section 8 homes across from Timber Top that took away more land and added to traffic. They're also building where that old golf course was. What is going to happen to the old Boston Mills golf course? Enough is enough. There are plenty of large homes and wonderful developments in that area. Once the green space is gone, no one will want to be in that area anyway. The Valley is the Valley because of the green space. How a sewer processing plant ended up there was another poor planning idea, but at the time, as I suspect, it had to do with everything running downhill. There have been constant mistakes made. Try not to add another one. This is from John Vidham. I oppose the sale of the property between Tice Road and Hardy Road to private developers, and I support the sale of this land to the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, along with the development of a master plan for the protection and conservation of the southern end of the Cuyahoga Valley. That was John Vidham and Denise Belankia Vidham. Lindsay Ryan says, Dear City Council, I'm requesting that you do not develop the Tice Road property or rezone River Woods. I have lived near the valley my whole life, nearly 30 years, and this beautiful area has been such a blessing to me and my family. It is one of the main reasons I love living in Akron. I would be deeply saddened to see this green space disappear. Thank you for your consideration. This is from Giovanna Knudsen. I am writing to ask that the 120 acres that have been slated to be sold is reconsidered. Akron has plenty of space that could be revamped instead of destroying our beautiful forests. Our forests are special. They're the places we go as a family for afternoon walks with our dogs, where we have picnics and where we escape the hustle and bustle of life. It is important that we protect these areas. Please reconsider. This is from Miles. I moved to Akron, Ohio 10 years ago, and I have loved to see so much development and growth in the area since I've lived here. However, I am sincerely requesting that the Tice Road and Riverwood developments be halted. I grew up in Wyoming in an area where I had to drive over an hour to see any natural trees, and one of the reasons I chose to make Ohio my home was its lush green trees and forests. I have come to love the Cuyahoga Valley and would hate to see any more of the forest taken away or corrupted. I truly appreciate your consideration in this matter and hope we can keep the valley the way it is. This is from Henny Cho. Please reconsider selling Tice Woods Valley. The community needs more green space. We need to preserve as much green space for the future generations. The area near Cuyahoga Valley National Park is such a beautiful place. We do not need more houses. It is such a privilege to be able to live and experience a national park so close to our home. Not many states can say they have a national park. We need to protect the area as much as we can, just for the citizens, but for the animals that live and depend on the land. Maybe the city needs to give more incentive to people to fix the houses in areas where the houses just sit and are abandoned. Fix those homes. This does not have a name. We have spent the past 50 years cleaning our river. This would create horrible runoff pollution and overcrowding. There is much more space in Akron City that can be developed. I've seen deer and coyotes in downtown in Akron. That's dangerous for pets and people alike. Our local wildlife needs greenspan and safer drinking water. This would devastate them. This is from Diane Wargo. You have certainly been apprised of the concern for green space. I would also consider that subject to be a priority in decisions impacting the Tice Road development. What is also of concern is the condition and safety of Hardy Road, which will become a significant access point into the development considered. Are you willing to exchange whatever money you would gain selling the property to developers to spend thousands of dollars on fortifying an already decayed road, adding more guardrails and decent lighting to assure decent safety measures? Another significant safety concern is the increased traffic that will also be using Tice Road. If you ever want to experience a hair-raising event, try making a left-hand turn off Hardy onto Tice or any of the proposed access roads that may be introduced to enter the proposed developments off Tice. It is posted 35 miles per hour, but if anyone did a speed gun survey of actual speeds, you would be as horrified as myself. Is the council willing to consider spending more money on a police presence to reduce speeds or a traffic light at the intersection of Hardy and Tice? I know the police have better issues to contend with than writing speeding tickets. I would finally like to share that I have always had a great respect for authority and for those who govern. I am sad to say that I'm finally of the belief that the voice of the people has been muted by singular foresight of financial gain by the city planners and the developers. Increased revenue for the city and the business owners should not be more heavily weighted than the safety and security of its citizens. Thank you. This is from Greg Schrank. Please do not develop the property on Tice Road. I grew up in Akron. My whole family lives here. My great-grandparents lived here and were a major part of the community and the university. I want to see Akron stay as conserved as possible, and I want my kids to enjoy the parks and the towpath. Akron's character is impacted by the parks and land so much. I feel that if further development continues, Akron will lose so much of its value and no one is going to want to live here and it will turn into an unhappy place to live. Thank you. This is from Anthony Pettit. To whom it may concern, my name is Tony Pettit, and I am urging City Council to stop the madness and say no to any and all further valley development. I live in the valley and I am raising children in the valley. I bicycle and walk in the valley. I am continually taking my life in my hands each and every time I try to pull out of my driveway on North Portage Path. I attempt to walk my bicycle, but with the pedestrian walk light across Merriman Road at the BP station, and many times have very nearly been hit by cars turning left onto Merriman. As recently as this past Sunday, my daughter and I were almost hit as several cars continued on after our walkway light was lit, the last driver on his cell phone. In my estimation, the 3 projects, Smith Hill, Memorial Parkway, and Sycamore, the old golf course, should never have been allowed or should be stopped. The traffic is already more than the valley can bear. That is just the public safety part of the development issue. The environmental impact would be even more devastating. We as human beings are stewards of this land and need to maintain as many green spaces as possible. What is the #1 reason for species extinction? Human encroachment or loss of habitat. We need to stop the madness, stop the development of what's left of our green spaces. Just stop. Thank you respectfully. This is from William Pettit. I've lived in Merriman Valley all of my life, and I think it's one of the best spots in Akron, a perfect mix of nature and society. However, I've noticed more and more development in the valley for the past few years, and it's just getting worse. Housing has been a major problem in America and across the globe, and that's still very true in Akron. Though this problem isn't solved by destroying more and more of our forests and natural spaces to make room for more overpriced housing people can't afford, which is what's constantly happening in Merriman Valley. There's an overcrowding problem occurring here, and any further development won't help the situation, only make it worse. Please consider pushing for an end to further development in Merriman Valley. This is from Daniel Hagenbush. Hello, as a City of Akron resident, I strongly oppose selling off parcels of our land for further development. One of the reasons I chose to live in Akron was because of the metro parks in the valley. I was highly upset that the old Sycamore golf course was sold off to become housing. Now I learned that 120 acres of Tice Road is about to be sold as well. Enough is enough, Akron. Keep our green spaces green. I've spent countless hours in the valley in my life. Part of the allure has always been, besides the abundant green spaces, the peace and tranquility. Adding more housing will also undoubtedly add traffic. Please do not sell any new land to developers. There are plenty of other areas of Akron that would benefit from a redevelopment instead. Leave our forested areas alone, please. This is from Ryan Sepsic. I am an Akron resident, and I am very much so against the development of Tice Road property and rezoning River Woods. The green space along the towpath is one of the most utilized and beautiful aspects of Akron. Adding high-density units would take away from the natural beauty and wildlife we have here in Akron. For those involved in the decision, this may not seem like such a big deal because they don't utilize these areas or live nearby. However, this is what drew me to the area and what will keep me here long-term. The parks and wildlife areas are some of the best aspects of living in this area. This is from Caroline Anderson. I am writing to you as a concerned citizen of Akron, Ohio. I have lived in Akron and played in Akron's Valley for almost 20 years. It has recently been brought to my attention that part of the valley's scenic forests have been rezoned near the towpath for new housing, as well as an area along Tice Road. I would like for you to reconsider this, as the beauty of the valley will be forever damaged. The large green spaces that would be destroyed are home to many plants and animals. I consider Akron area to be one of the finest areas to live, based much upon the fact that we have a wonderful park system. One of the biggest draws is the towpath and adjoining parks and green spaces. You can literally be in a park in 10 minutes. If we add all of these houses right in the middle of the park system, it will take away from the community, or from the continuity of the beauty of the parks. It will also create so much new traffic and overcrowding. The parks will never be the same, and the valley as a whole will suffer. The draw to stay in Akron will be eliminated for some. I understand that developers see Akron as a hotspot based on the new program eliminating property tax for 15 years. Building hot and fast in the most beautiful parts of our city is the wrong way to move this city forward. I am dismayed that our leadership doesn't see it this way. I hope you will reconsider and listen to the people. This is from Adam Hoy. I've lived in Akron all my life and would hate to see our parks compromised any. It's what makes living here so great. Thank you. This is from Adam Murray. I'm just emailing to show my support for those opposed to the land development plan in the valley. I'd really like the city to reconsider this direction. Maybe a compromise can be made, or an existing urban area could be purchased and used for housing development. Thanks. This is from Mitchell Colasar. It is unfortunate that I am having to take the time out of my day to write this. I hope reasonable minds prevail, and the idea of limiting what an Akron resident can do inside the confines of their private residence is quickly shut down. It is unbelievable to me that the mayor's office decided to publicize this potential ordinance the morning of taking likely unconstitutional action. Not to mention, this is all taking place while a portion of the city is without power. I like to think a very high percentage of Akron residents are respecting COVID and the threat it presents to the health of our neighbors, taking all precautions available to us and abiding by all mandated public health requirements. It is not the mayor's job, nor any of your jobs, to babysit the residents of Akron when they are on their private property. Mayor Horgan constantly fails to understand his job, so his hope to pass this ordinance comes as no surprise to someone who has lived in Akron for only a few years. The city of Akron needs to get its own house in order before it decides to tell people what to do inside of their own homes as it relates to COVID or anything else for that matter. Mayor Horgan says, as mayor, my highest responsibility is to protect the safety and well-being of the citizens of Akron. No, as the mayor of Akron, your job is to represent the tax-paying residents to the fullest extent possible and zealously pursue their best interests within the parameters of local government and applicable law. As usual, the mayor likes to take the stance and that his thoughts represent the thoughts of all Akron residents. How many Akron residents provided feedback before this ordinance was presented? My guess is that that number is small, if any. Hey, though Mayor Horgan always knows best. The reason this is becoming public knowledge last minute is because some of you thought you could pass this unbelievable restrictive ordinance without the people of Akron getting to have their voices heard. That is unbelievably frustrating as an Akron resident that watches this city continually mismanage basic city services, example, public infrastructure, police, education. Ask this question before you decide on this ordinance. What does the city of Akron do well? Because apparently having the ability to overreach with unconstitutional power grabs under the disguise of COVID. I hope each of you understand the ramifications of passing this ordinance. It crosses a line that is embedded in the fabric of our nation's government. That is our right to privacy in our homes. I sincerely hope I do not have to pay any additional attention to this ordinance, and that is the last it is discussed by the mayor or city council. There is not a name on this one at the beginning. Adam Horsfall. I am writing to voice my concern over the mayor's proposed ordinance against private gatherings. This ordinance is a repulsive display of government overreach into private life and a trampling of individual liberty. It is not within your authority or duty to prevent private individuals from meeting within their homes for any reason. This kind of social interaction is, in fact, a necessity for mental health, which cannot be discarded even in light of a pandemic. We can have a separate debate about the relative risks of the coronavirus itself, but what I will not tolerate is the demonstrable threat to democracy and individual liberty that the invasion of private residences through the guise of public safety represents. If you send law enforcement officers to penalize families for gathering on a national day of Thanksgiving, you have not just abandoned the ideals of individual liberty and privacy, but you will have sinned against the fundamental value of family as well. Family is important. For some, more important than any other risk. City Council cannot decide for an individual how important it is to gather in person for the holidays. Many may choose not to for safety's sake, but that is their choice. Many may choose to gather, and that freedom must also be protected. I and my vote urge you not to pass this ordinance into law. Thank you for your consideration. Concerned citizen. Hello, my name is Dr. Matthew Devaney. I earned my doctorate in biochemistry, molecular biology, and biophysics from the University of Minnesota. My Akron address is in Ward 3, 349 Cloverdale Avenue. I strongly oppose the ordinance to limit private gatherings in Akron. I do not believe that the current statistics published by the Ohio Department of Health merit these restrictions. As reported in the Beacon Journal and from the Health Department's COVID-19 dashboard, deaths from COVID-19 are not increasing. It appears to be averaging less than 1 per day, and have shown no increase since June. Also, hospitalizations remain quite low as well, single digits most days in November. Therefore, I question what is the motivation of Mayor Horgan and Margot Somerville in proposing this legislation. Is it even legal for the city to tell us whom we can and cannot have in our homes? In the absence of any clear threat to public health, on what grounds does City Council support this legislation? There was much that we did not know about SARS-CoV-2 when it appeared on the world scene at the end of 2019. But we do know that the effects of a quarantine will cost lives. Loneliness, depression, and anxiety all lead to shortened lifespans. There is also an impact of loneliness and depression on the healthy functioning of our immune systems. We can see the impact that lockdowns are having on public health and the increasing need for hunger relief and unemployment in Northeast Ohio and across the state. While very few people are seriously ill or dying from COVID-19, thousands of men, women, and children are going hungry. As many as 1 in 5 children in Ohio face food insecurity. Unemployment in Ohio is twice what it was a year ago before the pandemic started. Unemployment has real health effects. Lack of human contact and social interaction have real impacts on human health, particularly in the elderly, leading to lost lives. I believe the Akron government's motion to limit private gatherings to 6 people is misguided and will not have an effect on the spread of SARS-CoV-2, which is already endemic across the United States of America. The council would better serve the Akron community by finding a way to increase employment, thus helping to give meaning to people's lives, and by finding a way to put healthy food on people's tables. Both would reduce stress and build healthy immune systems. Please oppose this ordinance. This is from Dana Chapman. I read about and was shocked that my hometown's elected officials would propose an ordinance regarding otherwise legal social activity in private homes and encouraging neighbors to spy on and report on their neighbors. That is akin to the edicts given to citizens in totalitarian states. I do not employ that comparison lightly, and I am not employing hyperbole when I say this. Your passage of an ordinance, even close to the language posted to the Beacon Journal site, would not only violate the rights of private property owners and individuals they welcome to their homes, but would also be used in the future as a means to further dictate behavior in and use of privately owned spaces, i.e. this begins a slippery slope to rules that further intrude on property owners, renters, and citizens' rights. The language of this ordinance appears to me to violate the rights of individuals to peacefully assemble, Amendment 1 of the Bill of Rights in the U.S. Constitution, and it appears to skirt the idea of Amendment 4, where probable cause would be required for law enforcement to enter a private domicile and execute a search. This ordinance skips the right to require a search warrant and apparently allows neighbors to report on a neighbor and to allow health department officials or police to levy fines based on snitching and without trial. This is outrageous and anti-ethical to the ideas and basic human and civil rights upon which this nation was founded. To conclude, a little history. Myriad dictatorial regimes that ignore the will of their citizens and which lack constitutions or bills of rights have employed seemingly innocuous reasons to coerce those they rule to give up rights, such as gathering with friends and family, and to encourage neighbor-on-neighbor spying, snitching, and reporting. Your proposal to enable and sow further divisiveness, distrust, and erosion of personal rights, and your frank distrust of your fellow citizens regarding their ability and willingness to protect those they hold dear during a pandemic is appalling and un-American. Today's leadership in China, Hong Kong, Venezuela, and Russia, and historically oppressive regimes such as those of Pol Pot, South Africa, the former Soviet Union, and its satellite states like East Germany and Hitler's Germany have all employed exactly the types of prohibitions and encouragement to snitch on fellow citizens that your ordinance dictates. Small steps of oppression still lead to oppression. We Akronites can and will protect those we love and must resist infringement on our rights to assemble. I beg you to vote against this terrible idea. This is from Francis Wilson. Council members, my name is Frances Wilson. I'm an Akron local. I am supportive of this effort and ordinance. I do, however, have deep concerns about establishing a precedent in policing. As Nish mentioned in committee earlier today, voluntary compliance is the goal, education is the goal. With that reasoning, I ask that Akron City Council take up a small amendment to specifically state that this ordinance does not give a warrant for arrest. I elevate that Councilman Malik mentioned this topic in the committee today, and I believe that it is pivotal that this amendment is made to safeguard the community from unnecessary problems and fear-mongering. We also have some voicemails that I'll play.
Some of you may be wondering why people who live in other cities are writing letters to the Akron City Council about Tice Road project in particular, and the National Park and the Cuyahoga River in general. It's curious that others have a concern about something, a piece of land, Akron's tax base, that doesn't directly concern them. What would compel citizens from around Northeast Ohio and even from out of state to write a letter to Akron City Council and the mayor? Water and air know no boundaries. At the Cuyahoga Valley Environmental Education Center, every fourth grader and their chaperones learn that what happens upriver affects what happens downstream. Watersheds are vital to the health and safety of all living things in that watershed. We are part of the Cuyahoga River and Lake Erie watershed. We have to stop thinking that developers can create a wetland, digging a hole and putting in a few plants. The watershed is tender and fragile, made more so because of development, according to the International Consortium, the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement. Our neck of the woods, our part of the Cuyahoga River, is part of that area of concern. What we do here matters elsewhere. Another question worth asking is, why should another ward council rep be concerned about development out in the woods of Ward 8? The answer, outward growth. Growth outside of the legacy city where there is little infrastructure and amenities takes away from that legacy city where the rest of the wards are trying to grow and offer services to their residents. We have empty lots from raised homes, empty strip malls, empty malls, spaces to develop and enhance existing small businesses and neighborhoods, your neighborhoods. We don't need to expand out and create more sprawl. That is old school thinking. Development in the valley needs to cease until a long-range, inclusive public deliberation is conducted to develop a master plan similar to or follow the plan completed by vibrantneo2040.org. Participants included the City of Akron, Summit County, and even Jason Segedie. It would be prudent to revisit the $4 million project rather than start over it with new consultants and more funding. We need to remind ourselves that any plan would have had the blessing of Congressman John Seiberling and Ralph Regula, the bipartisan team that created the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area, precursor to the national park. The Vibrant NEO 2040 plan would have had their stamp of approval. It protects cities and the environment. We are in a unique situation being that we are gateway to Ohio's only national park. Rather than exploiting the remaining natural parts of our city, let's reinvest. It's an opportunity for Akron to change the usual paradigm to be innovative, inclusive, and progressive. It's an opportunity that counters the traditional growth that, if we trust the environmental science, is actually quite unsustainable. Basically, big.
Hello, council members. My name is Shelley Pearsall. My address is 1660 Smoke Rise Drive in Akron, and I'm leading the petition drive on change.org to save the Sites Road property. It is called Save Akron's Last Major Green Space. So far, the petition has gathered more than 6,400 signatures, and many signers have left comments. I've been told that the petition has been downplayed because its signers are not all from Akron. Although this surprises me, I will not challenge that judgment. Instead, I'd like to share 10 comments today of the many we continue to receive on the petition from Akron residents only. Lee says, we need to preserve undeveloped land as green space. There's too much development. Victoria, we need the green space. Don't ruin our environment with development that disturbs the local flora and fauna. Jason, I wish to preserve these beautiful natural spaces as they enhance the local area and the loss of which would be immeasurable. Nature over profits. Meg, I just drove by this space today and it broke my heart to imagine another housing development here adjacent to the park. Melissa, redevelop existing neighborhoods before destroying valuable green space. Rachel, green forests reduce emissions. Taking away our forests will pollute our air, water, and environment. Pamela, we have empty homes. Do not destroy more green space. Kelly, one of our greatest assets in Akron is our beautiful parks and green spaces. To destroy an ecological environment that is already naturally perfect, to build another housing development is not progress, it is regression. Aaron, save the animals, save the trees. Akron has enough housing developments. Our motto is keep Akron beautiful, right? Let's keep it that way. And Hallie, Akron needs to focus on improving our existing housing stock and building on the vacant lots along our existing streets. New streets create a long-term liability with new maintenance obligations. See the book Strong Towns. New homes on this property would not improve the walkability of our city, and they destroy one of the area's natural assets. Thank you for listening to these 10 comments from the petition. I will share an additional 10 next week. Thank you, council members.
Hello, my name is Max Fidel. My address is 50 South Portage Path. Just making a public comment concerning the recent legislative proposal capping people at 6 people per household due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I just wanted to voice my opposition to this, as especially with people like myself who are a single member issues that any benefit for a young person who has a lower chance of getting the virus. So I just want to voice my opposition. I don't think this will be followed at all by a majority of Akronites. And I don't think it's a good idea to have people then calling the police on neighbors because of additional cars in their driveway. I know I would not feel comfortable calling the police on my neighbors just for this simple reason. So just wanted to voice my opposition. I hope everyone stays healthy, but I think this is a horrible idea in terms of how to address the pandemic. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Randy Zerbe, Z-E-R-B-E. I reside at 460 Aqueduct, Akron, Ohio. My comment is, we read that one of the council individuals, I think her name was Margot Somerville, is going to propose I forget, I don't think it's a law, maybe it's a law, pertaining to COVID-19 and allowing 6 people to come to your home. Well, let me tell you, we've already adjusted our Thanksgiving plan. We're moving it out of the city of Akron to another community. We plan to be respectful. We plan to wear a mask, but we don't want a city telling us how many people we can have in and out of our house if we're already being respectful. You're overstepping your line. We do not live in a socialist country. Thank you.
Yes, this is Shannon Schleter. I live in Akron, Ohio, and I'm calling to voice my disapproval of the proposed ruling on capping the guests in our home for Thanksgiving. I believe as an intelligent, educated person, I can make my own decisions, and I think this is a gross overreach of power, and I believe it is unlawful to dictate what private individuals do in their own homes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Merrick Potter. I'm at 120 Noble Avenue in Akron, and I wanted to just address the order to limit gatherings to 6 guests for the next month. I listened to the council meeting just a bit ago and appreciated hearing everyone's thoughts on it in the committee. I just want to take a minute and strongly urge that this order does not go into effect, that it is voted down. I understand that we are responsible to care for others, but I do want to strongly emphasize that we have the freedom to make choices within our own homes, and that this is just stepping a bit too far, limiting what we can do privately in our homes. If someone is concerned about getting this virus, then they can take measures. We certainly can decide in our home whether to wear masks, to keep it socially distanced. We can do those things at Thanksgiving. But I strongly urge that the government does not ask the police to use their resources to penalize we who are simply trying to gather with our family. Thank you.
I am Bill Nesbitt, Bill B-I-L-L, Nesbitt, N-E-S-B-I-T-T, at 330-379-2235. The address is 1155 Diagonal Road, of course, Akron, 44307. I urgently ask that due to the state of dire coronavirus situation as stated by our governor, Mike DeWine, that no moves now are made with our Akron Bureau of Public Utilities. I understand from my staff members that we're to move at least one half the staff next Tuesday the 24th, the other half of the staff next Wednesday the 25th. I would say it's dire and unfair, particularly unfair for any things that would cause stress with the additional travel that would be caused by those who are within that 1 hour of travel time, particularly in the city hospital, area, that round trip of 1 hour, and goes to from the moving to another location, the few hours of time, so an evening involvement, that school related issues with the coronavirus. I believe that would be irresponsible to leave there until our coronavirus situation has a bit of control. I asked you to discuss this opinion with the Director of Health, Director Donna Skoda, and see if she can find an agreement in other medical people. I asked you to discuss again with the enforcement people, once again, Director Donna Skoda and Health and medical people, and see if my position has reason to it, and we should uphold any type of additional travel, any additional stress, and other related things until we are not in a dire health situation with the virus and related factors. Thank you for your consideration. All you have a great Thanksgiving.
Mayor Horgan and members of the Akron City Council, my name is Ezekiel Jarvis. I live on 1257 Florida Avenue. I have lived in Kenmore all of my life, and this year I have become increasingly appalled by the actions of the city government. Frankly, you have no authority to restrict the right of the people peaceably to assemble according to both the Ohio and United States constitutions. And these limitations on government power still apply even during times of a supposed crisis. By enacting such an ordinance, you are making criminals out of ordinary citizens, many of whom will rightly not comply with such an unjust law. And you are making traitors out of our Akron Police Department who will be forced to either enforce this illegal ordinance or lose their jobs. It's entirely clear to many people in this nation that actions such as this are not a result of a sincere interest in public health, but are rather purely political power grabs. We, the people, have had enough of this nonsense, and we demand it be ended immediately. Thank you.
That concludes our public comments received for this evening. I want to thank all of those who have participated on tonight. We'll now move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Freeman.
245.
Public Safety, Councilman Kamer.
215.
Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman.
3 p.m.
Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal.
1:45.
Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco.
1.
Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco.
Subject to call.
Public Service, Councilwoman Samples.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky.
2:45.
If there's anything else coming before council, I do see Councilman Malik's hand.
Thank you, Madam President. As with previous weeks, we've had a lot of comments from folks about the Valley and the property at Tice Road and Hardy Road, where there has been discussion about development over the last several months. I did want to update everyone, as also going to update everyone who's reached out over the last month, that the city administration this past week announced that they are going to be conducting a request for proposals solely for conservation proposals for that property. And so that does not take development off the table, but it does mean that the administration is going to take a very close look at, there's already one proposal for conservation, but it's going to solicit other proposals. So I think that's a very positive step. I think that we own this property, right? It's not going anywhere. We can look at the full picture of what's possible for that property. We can look at, what possibilities the conservancy groups might have for it, whether it's trails or fishing or campsites or whatever. And then at that point, the mayor can make a recommendation to council as to what he thinks is the best use of the property, and then we can deliberate. So all of that to say, I'm sure these discussions will continue. All of the people who've reached out over the last month or so, they'll get the similar update from, I think, Councilman Swirsky and myself. And I'm sure we'll continue to have discussions about the Valley as we move to this broader master plan. Because I think all of this tells us that there's a lot of interest in the Valley. but we need to step back from any particular projects, and we need to look at the whole of what we're building. And hopefully this master plan that Akron and Cuyahoga Falls are working on together, hopefully they'll do that. So with that final public comment, I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you so much, Councilman Malik, for sharing that update. Councilman Swirsky?
Yeah, I just, again, want to thank the public comments that came forward in support of the master plan, and thank the administration for acting in that direction by hiring someone or putting out requests to hire someone to create a master plan, and more importantly, to reach out to new conservation groups that might possibly make a good fit for the Tice Road location. And I have to thank my colleagues. I know sometimes it gets a little tiresome to hear some of the same arguments over and over again, but there's a lot of passion out there from a lot of Akron residents, and sometimes people who aren't Akron residents, but people who use the valley for recreation and business purposes. So I just want to thank my council members on that. And I also want to bring up briefly a topic that I've been hearing from residents lately. There's been a number of outages coming from First Energy electrical service, and often it's really due to a storm. Some of this can't be prevented, but today people were being told that that they will not have electrical service until Thursday afternoon. I guess they've made some headways, but they posted or communicated a deadline of Thursday afternoon. Well, that's a lot of time to ask people to be without electrical service. Thousands of people are worrying about the food in their refrigerators, their heat, their children's online learning, their ability to work from home. Thousands of people have elderly people who are dependent on medical equipment that use electricity. Now, we're all very grateful that First Energy is here and that they provide jobs and they contribute to our tax base. But in my ward, there are some areas where these outages just happen all too often. Off of Palisades area and also off of the Northampton Road area. So I'm urging you today and all of us to kind of not be too complacent about what happens, the frequency of these outages. I know it's kind of technical, but the frequency of these outages and then the emergency response preparedness on the part of First Energy, I think is something that we just want to ask questions about. It's kind of unacceptable to ask people to wait. They've already been on. Hello, we okay?
Councilman Swirsky, you can proceed.
Okay, all right. It's kind of unacceptable for people to have waited this long already and then not reassure them and tell them that it may not be fixed till Thursday afternoon. So I employ First Energy, and I hope all of you do also, to put a little more resources and planning into better equipment and to hiring, in this case, at this point, to hire more contractors to get the service up and running. I know there's a lot of complicated decisions that go into this. I respect the engineers and the experts, but they have to solve these problems. And it can't be something that we just are complacent about. It's something that we have to expect. We have a monopoly supplier in our city. We have to expect more of them. They have to accept even more responsibility for providing reliable electrical service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Swirsky. I do see Councilman Neal.
Thank you, Madam President. Had some things I want to say, but I do want to thank Councilman Swirsky for bringing up the matter of First Energy. the one thing that we can do when we talk about reimagining public safety, the health and well-being of our constituents during a time like this is a matter of public safety. I think we need to look at what safety nets we could have put in place. We've had constituents talk about, the ordinance that was passed and its impact on people's mental health who are socially isolated. Those folks who are isolated, it's even harder during times like this when their power goes out for them to get in contact with folks. We talked about this when we had the great snowfall, about having a plan, an emergency management plan. I think it would serve us well to look at that. We have those listed who have their curb service for their trash. That's one way to immediately make sure that we have a network to check on them to make sure that they're okay. But I think it's something that we need to look at, especially with folks being restricted because of COVID to stay at home. We need to put an emergency plan in place. So I'm glad he brought that to point. But two things I wanted to bring up. One is just a thing of appreciation and thanks. Fortunate to have folks who volunteer in my ward. I want to give a shout out to Ms. Finette Morris, who has stepped in to lead the Maple Valley Merchants Association. She is excited, and because of her excitement, I want to extend an appreciation to Mark Greer, James Hardy, and the city for their investment in our neighborhood business districts. I know next week, the Maple Valley Merchants Business District will be, because it's Thanksgiving and all that comes with it, will be decorating the business district, much like we used to decorate downtown. And it'll be bringing some of that excitement to the neighborhood level. And just to feel her energy and the excitement of those who are coming together with all the trappings that come with the holiday season, which is much needed during this time when people have been stressed out. Just want to extend my appreciation to the city, as well as to those in my community who are coming together to bring a little holiday cheer to the community. It's hard to believe that next week is Thanksgiving. So I just want to express that appreciation.
Thank you so much, Councilman Neal. Is there anything else coming before council at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.